Shalom everyone, Marcus Costa here. I hope you are having a wonderful, wonderful day. It is glorious. The sun is shining. The children are having a good time. The wife, me, are spending time together and just enjoying the sun. So I'm hoping that you are blessed. And I wanted to talk with you today about a particular verse of scripture, in addition to a number of videos and teachings that I've made. If you turn to Jeremiah 17, I have it here. Jeremiah 17 verse 5, it reads, "Thus saith the Lord," or Jehovah, "Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord." Now, over the course of time, I have been teaching and advocating theoculture, a God-based system of cultivating land, of keeping animals, and essentially living in a way where you are sustained by the Most High through his creation, and therefore you treat his creation in the way that he mandates. And in doing so, brothers and sisters, what you will find, as that which is written, that you experience the blessings of living in alignment with the one who gave us the manual on how to live. But when we get to this passage, Jeremiah 17 verse 5, and throughout the scriptures, we have to come to the conclusion, and as I've been teaching, when you are reliant on man, and when you make flesh your arm, in other words, your means to protect yourself and cover yourself and keep yourself is other men and the state, the government, the forces and the powers that be, who do not advocate living a God-based system found in the Torah, the Psalms, the prophets, the writings, and in the Gospels, then you bring yourself into the realm of being cursed. We know, for example, that if we keep the commandments, if we diligently hearken and hear his voice, then we shall be blessed in all of our ways. So, to be dependent on man leads unto being cursed. When we look at the situation, brothers and sisters, with what's going on in the world, we can see how that can really be detrimental to us. I'll give you an example. The Most High, at the beginning of the year, spoke to his people through various different vessels that there was going to be some times which were challenging ahead. Seriously challenging. I spoke with regards to this. There were dreams, there were visions, there were prophetic words, and as a result, when what took place, even though we may not have known that's what it looks like, we were aware, our hearts were ready to experience it. However, The Most High is clearly instructing us that we need to get ready. This, if you're familiar with what it's like to have a baby, there are contractions, and the first period of contractions do not feel anything like the ones an hour before you're going to give birth, or half an hour before you're going to give birth. And this is the birth pangs, the birth pains, which are leading up to something which we really need to be prepared for. So as such, we need to take the word seriously where it tells us, cursed is the man who trusteth in man. So with that being said, we have to consider, what are we, where's our food going to come from? Now I'm trusting and believing for myself, for my family, that my Father will provide. He's going to provide, he's going to take care of us, he's going to send forth provisions. But if he gave these words in advance, the reason why he's giving words in advance is for you to be prepared. So where's your food going to come from? Because if you are dependent on man, if you're dependent on man to stack the shelves, what happens when the people are sick and they can't stack the shelves? We've seen this already. What happens when the lorry drivers are sick and they can't stack and they can't send it to the shop to get put on the shelves? We have seen this already. What happens when the farms that grow your food can no longer get your food to the vans that take the vans to the shops? We have seen this already. So with that being said, we have to be dependent on Jehovah, and Jehovah's already given us his word. So with that said, what are we going to do? And I put it to you that I've said this already, and I'll bring you into remembrance of what I've said already. If you are living in the city, whether you're living in the city or whether you're living in the country, I can speak specifically for the UK because that's where I'm from. I don't know where you may be from, but in the UK, we don't have a lot of space. Relative to other nations, we don't have a lot of space. And if you're in the city, you may be packed. There's people above you, to the left, to your right, below you. So what do you do? Well, I'll tell you what I did, and what I did years ago is, on the space that I had on my windowsills, I was growing food. That may not, you may look at it and say, well, what's that going to do in an emergency? Well, back then I was able to have a salad using food that I grew in my home. And you can do that too on your windowsill. In addition to growing food on the windowsill, I got a miniature greenhouse. A miniature greenhouse. I got some trays, and I bought microgreens. This was like, I started doing this 3 years ago. So on my little balcony, if you check my my Instagram, you'll see pictures. Most of those trays I grew on my balcony. Salad for my family. If you're living in the city, I would begin to inquire, and even if you're living in the country and you don't have space, begin to inquire about if there's allotment space you can use, community gardens that you can sow in. Maybe there might be people who need young legs and a young back, and maybe you could work in their garden or help in their allotment and so on. I'm saying this because I believe that the believers in Yeshua, the house of Israel, is so far removed from its heritage, who were a people who essentially were all self-employed. Now, if you have a job, I've got no problem with you having a job. If you work for someone, no problem, because Jehovah, in his law, he mandates that there are times when people need to work for other people. We find that in the Torah, so that's no problem. But in a time where your government may not be able to help you, your government, those who are out here proclaiming that they're here to help you, may not be willing and may not want to help you. You can answer the question as, how many times did your phone ring from your local council, from the city mayor or from his department to call you to see how you were, if you had everything you need? Did your electricity supplier call you and ask you if you needed cheaper gas or electricity? What about your bank? If you have loans or things you need to repay, did anyone call you to say, you know, that loan debt that you're in, let's freeze that for a while. Let's freeze the council tax. Let's freeze, because you can't go anywhere, right? Check this out. Because you can't go anywhere, you're not allowed to drive. Let's freeze road tax. Let's freeze road tax because you can't drive. Let's freeze your I don't even know. Whatever else. It's not happened. So, disciples of Yeshua, and this is the key part of the video. Disciples of Yeshua, this is the key part of the video, and that the finger's coming out. If you know your purpose and you are functioning in your purpose, the Most High will provide. Even in this time, the Most High will provide if you are functioning in your purpose. Because if he created you for a purpose, he will make provisions so your purpose can be achieved. Some of you, brothers and sisters, you have a purpose to do something which you are not in at the moment. And as a result, you know, when a well dries up, if you don't think about where's the next well or what else am I supposed to do, I'll give you an example. For a long time, in my wife, there's been she filled with kind of natural knowledge of food, of health, all of that kind of stuff. For years, she's been into that. And for years, she's been, you know, acquiring knowledge, acquiring information, and it's made her happy for years. Last week, she launched her business. It's called Eden's Daughter. edensdaughter.co.uk. She turned her passion, her purpose, into a business. And that passion and purpose is in alignment with the core structure of who we are as a people. A creation-based family. So I put it to you, brothers and sisters, during this time, really consider, how can I shift from being dependent on man, dependent on the government, dependent on the state, dependent on the kingdoms of this world, to being dependent on Jehovah, him being your direct supervisor. And in doing that, brothers and sisters, you'll find that your purpose, your passion, what is in you, is allowed to flourish and is allowed to grow. And with that, there will be provisions even in these times of trouble. I hope I've been an encouragement to you. That is always the purpose of these videos. I really do want the saints of the Most High to flourish, to prosper, and see us through this time of trouble. And I will say this: if there is anyone in the UK who has some land and wants to start producing eggs or raising meat birds, then get in contact with me. And that's a way how, I can reach out and support one of the brethren. Additionally, if you are in the UK and you have livestock, get in contact with me. Amen. And if you're in the UK and if you have land, get in contact with me. See, we're a community of people, and I believe at this time we should most definitely be, if we've not done so already, be establishing a network and a kingdom which isn't reliant upon man, but is reliant on this shared ethos about faith and fellowship. So if you've got land, get in contact. You've got livestock, get in contact. And if you have land but you need birds, you need help raising birds, then get in contact. Shalom.